What's up? Thank you for having me on your show again. And I'm excited to talk about Mission 2025 with you. So, how have you been?
I've been doing pretty good.
Mama put a Bible in my hands, and Daddy put my hands in the dirt. I grew up in the heart of the heartland, with a vintage Johnny Cash on my shirt. I learned the truth from Granddad's vinyl and a preacher down on River Road. If you care to know anything about me, I'll tell you everything you need to know. I'm hallelujah, hands high, and friends in low places, red, white, and blue, and red letter pages, back row pew and front seat Ford, New King James and Old King George. I'm washed in the water and mud on the tires. I'm fighting night lights and Sunday morning choir. I'm prayers up to heaven, roots down in Kentucky, made by God and country. God and country. Always been and will be my true north. When it feels like the world's going south, it is well with my soul where the green grass grows on some hometown holy ground. I'm hallelujah, hands high, and friends in low places, red, white, and blue, and red letter pages, back row pew and front seat Ford, New King James and Old King George. I'm washed in the water and mud on the tires. I'm fighting night lights and Sunday morning choir. I'm prayers up to heaven, roots down in Kentucky, made by God and country. Made by God and country. I'm hallelujah, hands high, and friends in low places, red, white, and blue, and red letter pages, back row pew and front seat Ford, New King James and Old King George. I'm graced, given free, and a hard-earned dollar, child of the King and a coal miner's daughter. I'm prayers up to heaven, roots down in Kentucky. Oh yeah, I got a good life down here and a better one waiting up above me, made by God and country. God and country. Hey. God and country.
It's calling to me, man. It's calling to me. You're weak, hiding in the shadows. I want to die of dysentery. This is not fun to me right now because I'm not dying of dysentery.
The system has been rigged against young white men. That's just a fact. And this is all an effort to make the country one giant plantation. The establishment's narrative is crumbling right in front of them. And it's being destroyed by the people they expected to put them in power for 1,000 years. The boomers have left us with pretty much nothing. No inheritance. It is up to us and to our generation to save this nation, or the American empire shall fall. Establishment in the United States has decided that we did the debate thing for a little bit, but it's kind of just more annoying than anything. Morality is the foundation in which every great civilization is built upon. You've replaced God with the state. We've been screwed over by the generations who have come before us. You've handed this country over to the enemy. Majority of our elites are literally, they're just cultists. We have a job to do. Now let's get out there and do it and save this country. The country our ancestors built with their bare hands. God will be with us. Deus Vult. Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Isaiah Lafone Show. Happy New Year's Eve to you all. We've got a small viewing tonight, as I could see here. That's perfectly fine. I didn't expect a large listening base tonight. It is New Year's Eve. I understand you all have a lot going on. I understand that the college football playoff is going on tonight, so therefore we may not have the largest listener base tonight, but that's all right. I'm still going to do the show for those of you who show up. The question has been raised to me a lot lately, and I'm sure you've heard the whispers of it as well in some online spaces and some spaces in real life as well. The proposition that it is time for an American version of Julius Caesar. Why would we need this? Why would people be talking about this? Well, there comes a time in which people lose faith in the democratic process, in our Republican form of government. You line up in 2024, as most of us did, most of you were watching did, probably. I don't know why you would be watching my show if you voted the Democratic ticket, but you lined up in 2024, voted the Republican ticket, voted for Donald Trump, voted Republicans into office in the House of Representatives, in the Senate, expecting change. We wanted change. That's what we were promised. We were promised change. We were promised a better economy, more government transparency, the deportation of illegal immigrants. Now the demand has shifted to a complete immigration moratorium and a stoppage of all legal and illegal immigration. Well, we voted for those things. That's what we expected to get. But instead, we've gotten more the same from Trump and the Republicans. This Congress has been one of the least effective Congresses, at least in recent memory. So it gets to a point where people get fed up with the system. They want change, but no one will enact it. So they turn to the idea of having one man come in and fix it, at least hold permanent power for a time. Or total power for a time. That's where the idea of a Caesar comes in, a dictator, to come in and take power completely and totally, unchallenged for a time, in order to fix the system which is broken. Is it time for that? Well, let's talk about it. My name is Isaiah Lafone. Welcome to the Isaiah Lafone Show.
As I said before, we don't have many watching tonight, and like I said, that's completely understandable. So this will probably be a shorter show, as I don't expect there to be a lot of questions in the comment section. This will probably be a me talking show, probably. It'll be heavy on me talking. So if you don't like that, that's okay. You can click off the episode. But I will be taking questions, so make sure to load up the chat with your questions. Again, like I said, not many are watching, so probably won't spend too much time on that. Now, and if you are watching, make sure to like and subscribe and share this live stream if you're enjoying it. Now, the American Caesar. That's a funny idea. But as I laid out in the opening, that's not too crazy given the current state of our society and our nation. It's not too crazy to imagine that someone might say, well, none of this is working. I voted for the Democrats in 2020. The Democrats promised me change in 2020. They didn't give it to me. 2024, I lined up and I voted the Republican ticket, and the Republicans have been ineffective and weak in governance. The Democratic problem wasn't that they refused to govern, but that they governed terribly. And so now the American people are stuck between a rock and a hard place. What do? We gave the Democrats power and they governed. At least that could be said, they governed. But when they did govern, they governed wrongfully. They made my life worse. The Democrats increased inflation. The job market was terrible. Unemployment rose. Socially, the country was out of hand. Transgenderism was being shoved down my children's throat. Abortion the restrictions on abortion were getting struck down. Now then, Roe v. Wade happens in 2022, changes all that. Looks like we're continuously pushing towards greater abortion freedoms, and then Roe v. Wade gets struck down, which is wonderful. But still, we're struggling in the battle against abortion. In many states, abortion is still being allowed. So the Democrats govern, and they wreck the country as they govern. You give the power back to Donald Trump and the Republicans, and Donald Trump comes in and says, we're going to release the Epstein files, we're going to fix the economy, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to do this. And it should be stated, and it would be stated correctly, that the economy under Trump 1.0, Donald Trump's the 45th presidency, his first administration, was good. Trump did good with the economy. The tax cuts were good. Gas prices were down. The housing market was pretty good. It was starting to go up around 2019, but those are forces outside of Trump's control. Well, not necessarily. He could he could step in and stop Blackstone's buying up of single-family homes, but nevertheless, the economy was doing well. And so Trump had something to point to during the 2024 campaign trail where he could say, look, this is how I governed concerning the economy, which was the number one issue to most voters. He said, look, this is how I governed in 2020 or 2017 to 2021 in terms of the economy. Forget about the COVID lockdown in which the economy was a wreck. But for the most part, he did fairly well. He pointed to that and said, we're going to just do that again. Remember what we did last time? Yeah, let's do that. Let's try that one more time. That's what we were promised. And they gave us the big, beautiful bill, codified the Trump tax cuts, which was good because we would have seen one of the largest tax hikes in U.S. history if they were not codified. But other than that, what has been done? Nothing. On the social front, in the culture war, any gains? I mean, they've owned the libs by kicking trans people out of the military. The war on Christianity is over. Cool, that's good. We're going to ban sex change surgeries for minors. Okay. So maybe we're getting some wins on the social front. Not necessarily. Because the Secretary of the Treasury is a gay man. We have completely decided, the Republican Party at least has decided to completely cede the argument over homosexuality. At least at the top they have. Its members are fairly anti-homosexuality. But the leadership has decided that we'll just completely surrender that battle. A battle which, by the way, most people did not support homosexuality before 2015. The Obergefell decision was done in order to shove that down our proverbial throats. So we've made, frankly, little progress on the social issue. On immigration, we've deported about 600,000 people, give or take. The number they say is 2 million. Actually, that comes from the number of people registering or saying that they are illegal immigrants, which, by the way, if you know the government is hostile to illegal immigrants, then you're not going to say that you're an illegal immigrant. Most likely, the number of people deported is around maybe 800,000. Maybe 200,000, give or take, have self-deported, but the number is certainly not 2 million. The government knows this. The Trump administration knows that the deportations and the crackdown on illegal immigration is not happening as fast as we want it to happen, as fast as it could. And so they are being mean about it. The edits that you see online, they're literally trying to provoke the left to anger and to make it look cool and stuff that we're deporting all these people. But in actuality, not many people are actually being deported. Biden let in at least like 10 million people. And we've only deported like 600,000 of those people. More so, and 10 million is a conservative estimate of the number let in under the Biden administration. All in all, we probably have about 60, 80 million of these illegal immigrants in our country. There's many more legal immigrants that need to be denaturalized and deported. Pretty much the entirety of the Somalian community needs to be denaturalized and deported. The Indians need to go back. We have tons of people which need to go home. But the Trump administration isn't really invested in actually solving the problem of immigration. They're doing these little flashy little edits here and there to make you think that they're doing something about it, which they aren't. And the reason they're honed in on immigration is because that's the one issue in which they aren't underwater on. People approve of the immigration policies. What they wouldn't approve of, if more people knew, is the fact that the immigration crackdown is not happening at the rate that it should be happening. What about the economy? The economy still sucks. Putting it point blank, the economy still sucks. It's stable per se, but it's teetering on the edge, and people can feel that. People know it's teetering on the edge. The price of groceries is still too high. I still won't be able to afford a home, which is one of the main things that Gen Z cares about, particularly the young men, because the young men want to get married and have children. And we can't really build a life for ourselves like the American dream would have us believe. That the American dream is having a good job, living in a stable society, having wife, children, all that stuff. That's all wrapped up in the American dream. There's much more to the American dream, but that's all wrapped up in the American dream. Well, that dream cannot be realized for most of Generation Z because the housing market is in such a state of disrepair. Now, that could be fixed by Donald Trump doing this, small little thing called trust busting. He could go in and he could block Blackstone from buying up single-family homes, driving up the prices of homes. He could do that. We could do that through legislation, and we could force Blackstone to sell back its assets at a fixed rate that the federal government would set. It's a fairly quick fix. Is all you need to do. The problem is that the business leaders are the ones in the ear of President Trump, and they're getting their way. That's why they're getting their way, is because they butter him up with compliments, and then he does what they want. And most of our Congress is bought off by BlackRock and Blackstone. So they're not going to do anything about it. And if Trump is not going to force them to do anything about it, then they're just not going to do anything. That's why the housing market is still in chaos. The Fed dropped their interest rates, but they dropped it by half a percentage or a couple percentage points, 0.2 or something like that. It's stupid. Nothing has changed. Gas prices may be coming down in red states, but in blue states, because of terrible Democratic governments, you could say, they're not coming down. And they're not coming down as much as they should be. in red states, for example. And like I said, groceries are still too high. People still can't afford to live. Oh, we'll just increase their wages. That creates an untenable cycle. You cannot enter into the cycle where you just keep increasing people's wages whenever the prices go up. Because eventually that system is going to crash. And it's going to crash dramatically. And the entire system is going to come tumbling down. You cannot trust that to stand. The prices are going up. No, let's not bring prices down. Let's just increase their wages and so they feel less of the effect. We're not doing that. Unemployment is still too high. Why is unemployment high? Because Americans can't get jobs. Because you have all these people coming in on H-1B visas and whatnot and what have you, Indians mostly, and they're taking our jobs. And they're not taking our jobs because they're better than us or we need certain talents, as Donald Trump said. No. They're taking our jobs because they're really good at interviews. They're really good at giving interviews. They've been caught lip syncing to someone else who is giving them the answers, who is feeding the answers in the interviews. Or they're being coached through the interviews. They're not getting these jobs rightfully. Then they get these jobs, and the people under them have to tell them how to do their job. So their positions are being taken. We can't go to, the promise to us was, you'd go through school, which we were, as young men, mistreated in school, public school, that is, and then you'll go through college, and then you'll be able to get this job. Well, now we have people with college degrees, sometimes several college degrees, and they can't get a job. Those jobs are being taken by AI. Those jobs are being taken by H-1B visa workers. The American dream is untenable to an entire generation. The country is still trillions of dollars in debt, and we've continued to increase the deficit. The deficit continues to go up every single damn second. And we've done nothing to stop it. For all the talk of limited government spending and reining all that in, we've cut some, but we've not cut a lot. Elon Musk, whose job was to run the Department of Government Efficiency and to cut excessive government funding, was thrown out of the White House. Now, he may have made up with the president, but he's not assumed his position again. Okay? So, actually, there hasn't been that much spending that's been cut. And I can see that there's a little bit of lag happening, so I apologize. And then there's the Somali fraud scheme. The Somali fraud scheme, in which American taxpayers have been defrauded. Their money, at least in Minnesota, going to fake daycare centers and autism centers and other fake institutions. And that money, the Somalis defrauded the United States government, the Minnesota state government, of $9 billion. The entire GDP of the nation of Somalia is $12 billion. They defrauded the government of the United States nearly equal to the amount of the GDP of Somalia. Now, is the Somalian fraud the biggest issue that we can find here? No. You don't understand. The Somalian fraud is, how would you say it? It's symptomatic of a larger problem. There's too much government spending. There are too many welfare programs. By the way, 89% of Somalians in the United States are on some form of welfare. Our system is being exploited. These immigrants, they come into our country, and then they start smooching off of welfare. This is what happens. And they know they can do this because the government will just continue to give them handouts because they're immigrants. And we can't take them off because we'll be being unkind to them. And so many people are so scared of being called unkind, being called racist, all these different things, Islamophobe, all these different things, and they won't call this stuff out. And as we're going to see in a minute, the left's only response to the Somalian fraud being called out is to call it racist, to calling it out racist, to say that either it's not happening or that it's racist to say something about it. This is pathetic. This is the United States of America, and we will not be defrauded by a bunch of Muslims coming in from Africa. Are you kidding me? You think the Founding Fathers would have let this stand? Absolutely not. And what's going to happen because of the fraud? Absolutely flipping nothing. The government will do nothing about it. No one's getting arrested. There have been some people who've been indicted. But nobody big, like Tim Walz, is getting in trouble. People who allowed the fraud to happen, who they may not have encouraged the fraud to happen, but they definitely let it happen. They're not getting in trouble. Nothing is going to happen, most likely, because that is the pattern with our government. Something gets uncovered, whether it be the Epstein files, Epstein, Diddy, now the Somalian fraud. People get outraged about it. The government promises action, and nothing ever happens. That is the biggest problem here. Nothing is happening. Congress has been ineffective, so why the heck am I going to vote for Republicans if they're not going to do anything? They're just going to get out there and they're going to waste another majority. Epstein. We were promised clarity on the Epstein issue. Trump said, I'm going to release the Epstein files. Republicans said, we're going to release the Epstein files. And he's done nothing. Nothing has been done. He's covered it up. They fumbled it. Pam Bondi needs to be fired. Kash Patel should be fired. They've done nothing. And so many people are looking around and like, then what are we doing? Why are we even voting? In fact, some people are like, why am I even paying my taxes? What's that all about? Like, why would I pay my taxes when I know that a bunch of, it's going to go to a bunch of Somalians, a bunch of immigrants, Mexicans, Indians, what have you, who are just going to take advantage of it, who are just living off the government's dime, who are living off of my money. My family's been here since Jamestown. Why would I subsidize the living of these immigrants? You know, when the Italians and the Irish came over here, they made something of themselves. They believed in the ideals of America. I'm not anti-immigrant. I'm anti-lazy immigrant. I'm anti-unassimilated immigrant. You cannot come here and expect to live in the same culture from which you came, to speak the same language which is spoken in the land from which you came. You are not coming here. You do not come here and get to speak Spanish. You do not come here and get to speak Hindi. You do not come here and get to speak Chinese. You do not come here and get to speak Arabic. You come here and you learn English and you're going to speak English. You do not come here and get to live out Indian culture or Mexican culture or Chinese culture or Arab culture. You come here and you're going to be an American. You're going to assimilate to American culture. You're going to act like an American. You're going to think like an American. You're going to talk like an American. You're going to be an American. You are not an Indian living in exile. You are an American. And if you don't like that, guess where you're going? You're going back to India. You're going back to Pakistan. You're going back to Mexico. You're going back to Honduras. You're going back to Saudi Arabia. You're going back to Iran. You're going back to Iraq. You're going back to Afghanistan. You shoot our National Guard members in the head while yelling Allahu Akbar. Guess where you're going? You're not, actually, in that instance, you're not going back to Afghanistan. You're getting executed. We've been too soft on crime. We've been too soft on immigration. Like I said, when the Irish and Italians come here, what do? They don't cease to be ethnically Irish or ethnically Italian. There's still parts of their culture that they keep, but they become Americans. They assimilate to American society and culture. They speak English publicly. They don't go around speaking Italian expecting you to know Italian. The Irish don't go around speaking Gaelic and they expect you to know their language. They assimilate. So Europeans and American culture is fundamentally at its core British. That is why Europeans, it's a European culture. That's why Europeans have had a lot better time assimilating to American society and American culture. We've been too soft on immigration. We're too soft on crime. Epstein was running a blackmail ring under our nose. Actually, not under our noses, because I can guarantee you that the government knew absolutely everything that was happening. If they didn't, why won't they release the Epstein files? Unredacted. Unredacted. Give me the Epstein files. Unredacted. Don't black out any names, none of that. Unredacted. Give me the files. Dan Bongino, as I said on the show the other night, he stepped down. Do not let him have his podcast back. Do not give him any platform whatsoever. If the deep state is that hard to crack, we need to know it. And then what you're going to do is you're going to tell us what happened, who's threatening you, what's going on. And then once you tell us that, you're going to get your ass out of the way. And we will put someone in there who can go after the deep state, who can go after the fourth branch of government, which is seeking to control American life. Who's part of it? What do they want, fundamentally? Why are they doing this? What's their MO? These are pretty basic questions which can be asked. And Bongino has an obligation to answer these questions and then to get out of the way. They fumbled the Epstein thing. Diddy is getting special treatment. He ran a sex trafficking ring, essentially, and he's getting off fairly easily. In the United States of America, justice is dead. The Constitution means nothing. And when the Constitution means nothing, people lose faith in our constitutional system. I believe that run properly, the Constitution is the best system for government ever devised by man. But fundamentally, the only way that our Constitution and our republic works is if the people are moral and religious. The people today are immoral and irreligious, which is why it doesn't work. Our government is full of people taking advantage of us. And fundamentally, they themselves are controlled by people who are atheistic and who believe that this world is all that there is, and therefore the acquisition of power and influence and wealth is the only thing that matters. And so they will shoot for that. They will try to get that at all costs. That is who is running our society. They don't believe in God. It's the same kind of thing that was happening at the twilight of the Roman Republic. The senators were exploiting the people. They used their positions of power, the positions of public trust, in order to take advantage of the people to increase their own power. Why? Because they were fundamentally atheistic. They didn't believe in their gods. They believed that this world is all that there is. An atheistic worldview lends itself to tyranny inherently because you believe that this is all that there is. So therefore, this life becomes a battle between billions of glorified monkeys jockeying for leadership. And therefore, the goal is to gain as much power as humanly possible. Because at the end of the day, the sun is going to explode in 2 billion years, and nothing will matter. All the stars will turn off. And the universe itself will cease to exist. Black holes will dominate for a time, but then they themselves, because of Hawking radiation, will turn off. and the universe will die a cold, dark death. And, therefore, vanity, vanity, all is vanity. Everything is meaningless, so I might as well gain as much influence and power as I can in this life. For soon I die. These are the people running society. And ultimately, apparently, we cannot defeat them. Seems to be our little warriors. Dan Bongino, Kash Patel, Pam Bondi, Donald Trump. Nobody can crack the code. And the country is left as screwed as it once was under Biden, as it has been since the 1960s. Nothing has been fixed, fundamentally, permanently. Sure, you've applied a few Band-Aids to the issue, but nothing will stick. A 50-year mortgage is not going to stick. You know, the only people that the 50-year mortgage benefits is the big banks, who will continue to take advantage of the American people over and over and over and over and over again into eternity. Those are the only people that benefits. Regulations on AI companies, who does that benefit? Who does that benefit? Sam Altman, Elon Musk, people developing OpenAI, Grok, Google, Microsoft, all the people developing AI, the big names. They prevent smaller companies from making it because they'll be drowned out in regulation bills and fees that they have to pay. That's why these AI companies are talking about how dangerous AI is and this and that and whatever, and how AI is this dangerous thing and we've got to regulate it and we've got to keep it under control. That's why they're talking about it. That's why Sam Altman goes out there and does his little parade about it on the nightly news. Not because he actually cares about the fact that AI literally is the most dangerous thing that we've ever developed as human beings, capable of literally killing us if we create a superintelligence. Not because it actually is dangerous. He doesn't care about that. But because he wants absolute control over it. And he's killed to keep his position at the top. What, you think the whistleblower just happened to kill himself? He just planned a trip. He had just ordered food. You think he killed himself? You're stupid if you believe that. A single gunshot wound. You think he killed himself? No, he did not. They don't care about the dangers of AI. They care about keeping their positions at the top. And they care about the power that it could give them. Joe Biden was a moron, but he was right about something. And that was the danger of a tech oligarchy, which is fundamentally what they want. They've developed they're trying to develop ways to scour the internet in order to find criminals and this and that, whatever, people posting problematic things on the internet. Again, another way for control using artificial intelligence. Yeah, we're not doing that. Also, AI is not really making money. They're losing more money than they're making. The AI bubble is due to pop. But it doesn't seem that they're really in it for the money. They're in it for control, for the power that it could possibly give them. And it's times like this. The big businesses seem to control everything. America's foreign interests seem to be held captive to a country in the Middle East of about 9 million people. The economy sucks. We're being flooded with migrants who don't care about our country, or her people, and who are only here to take advantage of us. And that's all they've done. We are held captive by an elite system who, they're like the ugly girls who didn't get to be cheerleaders. They thought that if they would just become cheerleaders, they would become popular, but it's not the title itself that gives you your prominence. It's the person in the role. It's the man in the arena, to steal language from Theodore Roosevelt. Not the title of the man, but the man himself. Pete Buttigieg is no George Washington. Sam Altman is no Nikola Tesla. Joe Biden is no Franklin Roosevelt. And he's certainly no Jack Kennedy. It's the people who inhabit the roles, not the roles themselves, which are elites who are fundamentally unimpressive, unintelligent people do not understand. So the reason that they want to put us all down is because they're scared of their positions being taken by genuinely impressive, genuinely intelligent people. They are fundamentally arrogant and insecure at the same time because they are well aware of their own stupidity and incompetence. And they're also well aware that the bread is stale and the circus is boring. The people have had enough. People are filled with unrest. Throwing all these factors together, the economy, immigration, societal change, cultural change, rapid societal and rapid cultural change, rapid immigration, rapid economic decline. Throw them all in there with an ineffective government, weak foreign policy, again held captive to a country of 9 million people, and politicians who sit on their ass and collect paychecks and trade stocks. Eventually, the system itself comes crashing down. And at this point in America's history, a strong man will take control at a certain point. Power will be handed over to one man. I believe that an American Caesar is coming. I don't believe he's coming from the left, but he'll come from the right. He'll promise law and order. He'll promise ends to immigration. He'll promise economic stability. He'll promise societal and cultural regression from the progressive view, but true cultural and societal progression back to the values of the founders, back to the values of Christianity. He will be the conservative's dream, and ultimately, most likely, he will be handed complete and total power. It is not Trump, because Trump is not strong enough to be a Caesar. But ultimately, this is what I see happening. And he'll most likely come in with the promise of, I will give power up after I finish my job. The problem is power corrupts people. People may promise one thing, but they get a taste of it, and it tastes so good. It will ultimately corrupt the man. The Republic will be reestablished, and the time of the Caesar will be over. Or the Caesars will cement their power, and the time of the American Republic will be over. Either way, America's getting a Caesar sooner rather than later. It always happens. Weak men create hard times, and hard times create strong men. Strong men want a strong leader. The question is who? Who will be Caesar? And will he be more in the historical Julius Caesar mold, or will he be more of in the mold of a Roosevelt, or a Lincoln. Expanding executive power, but keeping the system relatively intact. That's the best option. The best option is to get a Lincoln-like figure to be your Caesar, or a Roosevelt-type figure to be your Caesar. Someone who will rapidly expand executive power and enforce their will upon the American people. Probably won't be much enforcing their will. The American people will ask for it. Many already are. Your best bet is to get a Lincoln, to get a Roosevelt-type figure. Because if you get a truly Julius Caesar-like figure, the American Republic, as we know it, will fall. And it will never exist again upon the face of the planet. Do you want Roosevelt? Or do you want Stalin? The choice is yours. As for myself, I'll back a Roosevelt every day of the week. Robert E. Lee said that sometimes patriotism requires you to do things today that you wouldn't do tomorrow and you wouldn't do yesterday. And if backing an expansion of executive power means that we get our country back, so be it. What must be done must be done. If the alternative to a Caesarian-like figure is the destruction of the United States, which keep it going and to about 2050 with this same leftist agenda, that's what you're going to get, the collapse of the American society. Racial tensions will pop. Economic tensions will pop. Our elites have the idea of let them eat cake. We will live luxuriously, they will suffer. You've raised up a generation and Generation Z who's not going to be taking that. So if this continues, the American system will collapse. What I predict is around the 2040s to 50s, there will arise a Caesar who will be handed power by the people willingly and who will expand massively executive power. Whether he keeps Congress intact or not is up to debate. And I sure hope to God that he does. Because if he doesn't, it might be good for a time, but eventually it's going to be hell on earth. And the left has no one to blame but themselves. You can push a people so far. You can get them to deny biological realities. You can get them to deny facts so that they won't seem racist for a time. But eventually people crack. And the American people are going to be doing some cracking. Under the weight of a terrible economy, a terrible society, a terrible culture, unfettered immigration, and other factors. And soon enough, in about 20 years, 20, 30 years, people are going to be looking around saying, why is the country so right-wing? Well, because the cycle of leftist self-destruction will have been complete. They're aborting their babies, we're having babies. And eventually we will outnumber them. We're just going to outbreed them. But that doesn't negate the need for a Caesar-like figure. So Caesar is coming, whether you like it or not. And you cannot stop what's coming. So, let's talk about the Somalian fraud that's been happening. We're going to get into that. Make sure to thank you guys so much for watching. 5 people watching right now, 30 people watching overall. Thank you guys so much. I expected a slower smaller viewing for the show since it is New Year's Eve. Happy New Year's Eve. This is the last show of 2025, y'all. It's crazy. We're going to talk about the Somalian fraud, and then I'm going to answer your questions. So load the chat up with your questions. Make sure to like and subscribe and share this video. Let people know this is going on right now. Okay. All right, let's... Gabe, we did not work on the thing. There we go. Okay. First things first. This Somali guy claims that important documents have been stolen from his daycare, student and employee info, and checkbooks. Literally, what the flip? Like, what are we doing? All right, let me turn to the... Am I really supposed to believe this? I mean, like, are we for real, chat? Okay. Let's see if I can turn this up a little bit. I cannot. Okay. All right. So we're just going to let this rip here now.
Unfortunately, we saw that there was important documentation, enrollment of the children, and also employee documentation that was gone. There were also checkbooks that were ripped from our check papers that were ripped from our book. This is devastating news, and we don't know why this is targeting our Somali community.
Okay, so they've gone to the play of, okay, we're just going to play the victim here now. So conveniently, we've lost employee and student records, the checkbooks, literally everything that would prove that we've been doing business. We've conveniently, that's been stolen from us. Brother, if I'm going to rob a joint, why would I rob the employee and student records? I wouldn't care about that. So their play here seems to be, oh, we're just going to play the victim and pretend like nothing ever happened. And actually the reason is that you can't find any record of us running a operation here is actually because all the record of us running, every single record of us running an operation has been stolen. Yeah, sure thing, bud, because I'm going to go along with that. Lots to get to here. There we go. Ismail Muhammad of Columbus, Ohio. There we go, my Ohio viewers. On his goal to get more Somali elected officials at the state and federal level, our main objective is to discuss things that concern Somalia. It is our country, our people. Our aim is a united front to lobby for Somalia. Yes, okay, so the entire reason that these people are here is to advocate for their country. Get them the hell out. They shouldn't be here. They don't care about America. This is what I'm talking about. We're importing third worlders with different culture, different language, different society, with we've literally been importing third world grudges as well. That's the only reason Jacob Fry was elected mayor of Minnesota, because Omar Fatah was part of a minority clan of Somalians. They don't care about our country. I'm sorry, it's not racist or Islamophobic. It's just I want people here who are American, who care about, these people are not American, and who they do not care about our country. They want to use us to get themselves more money. You can see, so he says, I'd like to thank Somali National TV and its management. You can't understand them, so I'm just going to read it here. There are 2 historic achievements that we have made in the state of Ohio, especially Columbus City. The first thing is Syed Muhammad Abdullah Hassan. He is the father of Somalia, whose dignity and honor is unequaled by any other Somali throughout the history. I've pioneered the idea of commemorating a monument even before I got elected. If anybody is worthy enough to have a street named after him, it is Syed Muhammad Abdullah Hassan. That sounds like the meme of like, it's like, okay, kids, who drove into the Christmas festival? Was it Samuel? Was it James? Was it Kyle? Was it Mary? Or was it Syed Muhammad Abdullah Hassan? That's what that sounds like, bro. There is no need for a street in the United States named after any Muslim. This is not Somalia. You want a statue commemorating the quote-unquote father of Somalia? You go to Somalia and you build that statue and you name the street after him. This is America. We're not doing this here. We're not doing this here. One of the strengths of our, and in fact, sameness is our strength, not diversity in a republic. One of our strengths as a society is our united culture. These people have been brought in here in order to diversify because we've gone with the 1960s idea that love and diversity and tolerance and all this crap is the greatest virtue known to man. Tolerance is not a virtue. Anybody can be tolerant. Diversity is not a virtue because societies are not built by throwing a bunch of random nationalities together in a weird soup and then mixing them up a little bit and then saying, poof, hop, we have civilization. That's not how this works. That's how you get ethnic war, war between different ethnicities, war between different races. That's how that happens. Let's keep going. And it is history for us to name a street in Columbus, Ohio, after him. We have 20 or more different political representatives. Of course, Ilhan Omar is our representative at the federal level from the state of Minnesota. We have more than 10 representatives in the city and at the state level. We have established a tight-knit organization. We are all in one room, group chat. Yeah, that's the thing, is like they work as like one community. And so they've all been in on the fraud, and so they all have to go. Our main objective is to discuss things that concern Somalia. It's our country. It's our people. Cool. So if it's your country, if that is your people, then guess who's going on the first plane home for the holidays? You, and you're going permanently. And it is not racist or Islamophobic. No. It is just basic understanding of how cultures work, how societies work, and that you can't have a group of people in your society functioning properly, or expect your society to function properly, and have these people in there lobbying for their own people and for their own interests instead of the interests of your nation. That is how you get societal collapse, because these different societies, these different cultures, different ethnicities will begin to war with each other. Keep going. Our aim is, as a united front, is to lobby for Somalia. That's the only reason they're here. Helping waive Somalia's national debt and maritime crisis. Yes, let's put America trillions upon trillions upon trillions upon trillions of dollars in debt, but it's okay because we fixed Somalia's debt. I'm sorry, not in my country. Maybe you can pull that shit in England and in France and in wherever. Actually, you shouldn't be pulling that shit anywhere, but sure as hell not in my country. You kidding me? Anybody who lives in Columbus, Ohio, please vote. We need your support. We want to knock you to knock doors. Thank you very much. Okay, so that's all he has to say. And the reason I had to read that again is because he's speaking Somalian. He's speaking a foreign language in the United States of America as an elected official. And you're telling me, man, this is just what the founders wanted. This is exactly as the founders intended American society to be. They intended us to be a quote-unquote melting pot of like trillions of different people. And we can't get along with any of them, and they're here to literally destroy our country, but to pay off their own national debt. They're here to lobby for their own. They're getting elected in our country in order to lobby for their country. But yeah, I mean, that's fine. I mean, yeah, no, that's fine. Because America has done bad things in the past, and therefore we deserve to get the shit beaten out of us. Like, are you kidding me? No. There we go. Flashback, Somalis openly call for jihad inside the Minnesota state capitol. Again, what the frick? Freedom of religion did not mean freedom to do whatever this is. We fight them. Let's see. He's speaking in the foreign language again. We fight them until the last man is standing. the Somaliland government. I am informing the people of Las Onad to fight, and this is jihad for the sake of Allah. What you will say in the hereafter to Allah if you refuse to fight. Yes, to the great God Allah. The one who refuses to take part in this jihad is a coward. May Allah make that person, the non-combatant, experience hellfire on this earth and the hereafter. The one who refuses to join in this jihad and finance this war, may Allah burn you in hell. This is jihad. Weapons are readily bought, and we jihadists have more weapons and money than them, Somaliland. We will bring weapons from Ukraine and South Africa. I swear to Allah, we will bomb them and bury their dead. What the flip? This is happening in the United States of America, by the way. The United States of America. Okay. And here we go. Leftist. This is from William Wolf. Another W from William Wolf. Leftists, why are these right-wingers so obsessed with Somalis? The former Prime Minister of Somalia at a rally for Ilhan Omar. Her interests are not America. Ilhan is for Somalia. It's pretty simple. We want our country back. Let's see this here. The interest of Ilhan is not the interest of Minnesota, nor is it the interest of the American people. The interest of Ilhan is that of the Somalian people in Somalia. Cool. So my response to that, first of all, yeah, because this is what the founders wanted. This is what we deserve, actually, for colonialism and BS, whatever. If you want to lobby for Somalia, if you want to fight for the interest of the Somalian people, then guess who's going back to Somalia? You can do it from there. You're not doing it in my country. No. I'm sorry. My ancestors built this country to be a country for me and for my people, not your people. And it is not a vehicle for you to propagate the welfare of your own people. I get it. People fight for their own people, but you can do that in Somalia. You're sure as heck not doing it here. And you got the Democrats and their reaction to the uncovering of fraud by Nick Shirley. Let's see some of it.
Oh my God, there's massive fraud in Minnesota. We were all gonna die for it if it wasn't uncovered by some racist little mediocre subpar white kid who dates his mom, running around to daycare centers and trying to film children without consent. I cannot, with you freshly waxed bowling alley smooth level brain morons anymore. If you call Nick Shirley a journalist, I immediately question how you are legally allowed to live on your own without a babysitter. Nick Shirley's not a journalist. Nick Shirley is a weird little Mormon boy from Utah who's never taken a journalism class in his life. He never even went to college.
So do you have to go to college to be a journalist? Do you have to go to college to be anything? You have to. What with the name calling? He did uncover the fraud. Like, objectively, that's what he did. Objectively, that's happened. So what? We're just going to explain. But you're just a racist. That's the only reason why you care, because they're black people. And then you're racist. No, I care because my people are being exploited to the benefit of these retards. I care because the American people, I don't care if you're white, blue, black, or orange. You have been exploited. These people have taken advantage of the American system. See, if it was a white person, if it was a bunch of Germans who did that, this man wouldn't give a shit. But because it's a black individual, they must be protected and defended at all costs. And we're done with that. I don't care what skin color God gave you. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. Objectively, it does not matter. What I care about is how you act as a community and as a society. And if all you've done is come in here, you live off welfare, you take advantage of the system, and you get a bunch of money, and you've been sending it to Al-Shabaab and your people over there in Somalia, I don't want your ass in this country. I'm sorry, you don't need to be here. You don't deserve to be here. You sure as heck don't deserve to be here. Being an American is a privilege, not a right. You are not entitled to it. The only people who are entitled to this country is the ones who descend from the people who built it with their bare hands. You know, the ones who've been here for about 400 to 300 to 250, what have you, years. They're entitled to this nation. Why? Because it's theirs by birthright. America is our birthright, not theirs. They don't deserve it. And if all they're going to do is come in here and take advantage of the American people, then send their butts on the first plane back to Somalia. They talk about how wonderful Somalia is, but they don't want to go back there. Why? Because it's a crap hole. And these white liberals, their first response to fraud being uncovered is to defend the black man and to throw out the racist card. Guess what? That may have worked in like 2017, but it doesn't work anymore. I don't care if you call me racist. Call me it. I don't give a rip. I know I'm not racist, and so it doesn't matter to me. The words of the critic, the jeers of the critic don't matter to me because your ass isn't in the arena. I'm in the arena. You're not in the arena. So what you say does not matter to me because you don't have the balls to step inside the arena to make a better society. You don't have it in you. So what you say doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you call me racist. It doesn't matter if you call me xenophobic, Islamophobic, sexist, all the things. It doesn't matter anymore. Those words don't mean anything anymore. They're slurs thrown around by leftists in order to paint you as the bad guys. We're not falling for it anymore. We don't care. Frankly, we just don't care.
Kid can barely read, let alone uncover massive amounts of fraud.
People who haven't gone to college, majority of them don't have problems reading. Don't have any problem reading. Brother, I knew people in school who couldn't read or write, who would play games on their computer all day. School is not this magical place where you suddenly become a smart person. Our teachers were more interested in shoving narratives down our throat than teaching us how to be functioning members of a society. Why? Because the government and the elites and the establishment want useful idiots rather than an educated populace. Because an educated populace is the enemy of control and tyranny. Some dropouts are some of the smartest people I know. People who never went to college, some of the smartest people I know. I wish I didn't have to go to college. I really wish I didn't. Why? Because I realize it's a scam. I'm being scammed for money. And I'm learning basically nothing. And what I am learning, I could have learned on my own. I do my own research for all this anyway. I can learn on my own. Rather than sitting in a lecture that goes about an hour and 15 minutes to 3 hours, depending on if it's a block class or not. I don't need this. I know that. Because it's a scam. I'm not learning much of anything that like I said, I couldn't learn on my own. School isn't this magical place where you become smart. Like I said, I knew a lot of people at school who couldn't read or write. Who wouldn't know the Constitution from a phone book.
When I say he's a weird little kid who dates his mom, that's not a joke. His high school prom was canceled because of COVID, and so he did a prom at home with his mom.
So? People do mother-son dances all the time. Just like people do father-daughter dances. If it wasn't Nick Shirley who did it, it wouldn't be weird to you. And to be honest, to me, I mean, it's not that weird. I mean, it happens. In fact, one of the things I was told as a young man, I was encouraged to take my mother, before I actually started dating, I didn't do this, I should have probably. But one of the things I was encouraged to do as a young man was to take my mother out on a date to learn how to treat women. A man's mother is his first foray on how a woman should treat him and how he should treat a woman. And his father should model that. People go on mother-son dances. People go on father-daughter dances. It's literally not that weird. He's not dating his mother. He's not dating his mother. He couldn't have a prom, which is something that you people took away from him. Because you said, we have to shut down the government. We just have to shut down society. COVID was that bad. It's literally the Black Death. It literally wasn't. But you know what? Thank you for what you did with that. Because that started the ball rolling and turning Gen Z conservative. So I should be thanking you. Y'all don't know what damage you've done to yourself yet. But you will one of these days. But literally, it's not even that weird, bro.
And we know about this because he made videos about it, and then a local news station wrote a story about it. And it's not
Again,
just that. His mom, Brooke Shirley, who goes by Brooker T. Jones online, and the Honey Badger, which her son affectionately calls her, which is also weird, runs around all over the country doing this racist pretend journalism with him. It's a weird relationship, a real Oedipal arrangement.
that's because you don't have good relationships with your parents. I'm guessing. Most liberals don't. It's okay.
If you will. This breaking news that you morons keep saying, oh.
See, this is the thing, is like, because of these people having terrible relationships with their family and terrible relationships with, literally anyone that's not them, because they're fundamentally narcissistic assholes. Family relationships, just normal family relationships, have become weird now. Bros being bros. Guys having good guy friends. Doing guy things. That's become weird now. It's become gay now. No, we want our society back. We're going to have our society back. You were probably never loved as a child, which is why you see this as weird.
Why isn't all the mainstream media reporting on it? Is because it's a 2-year-old story that they did report on, 2 years ago when it was breaking news, and Nick Shirley just plagiarized and then made up a bunch of wild shit about it.
Not true. Again, he's not, you see what he's doing. He's attacking the man's character instead of attacking the actual arguments made and the evidence shown, because Nick Shirley shows all the evidence if you watch the video.
Investigation already uncovered all of this stuff. It's ongoing.
Yeah, no, then why did the story just become a big thing? If it was breaking news 2 years ago, there's literally nothing has been, they haven't reported on it at all.
Multiple people have already been charged. Some of them are in prison. There's zero.
Yes, but there's no accountability at the top for the people that incentivized this to happen. Tim Walz, the people at Human Services in Minnesota, the administration in charge of all this stuff.
Connection to terrorism. It's not a Somali fraud ring because
it is a Somali fraud ring. Like, objectively, it is a Somali fraud ring. What the hell are you even talking about? We've entered the stage in which the left tries to gaslight you into believing it's not happening. And then they'll get to the point where they say, it might be happening. Well, it's a conspiracy. Well, it's happening, and you should be happy that it's happening. That's always a cycle.
The ringleader, Amy Brock, was a white Christian woman. Somali people are not inherently violent. In fact, they tend to be super nice and loving people, which is part of
Yeah, I'm going to call bullshit on that.
the reason why Minnesota's violent crime rate is substantially lower than the national average. Many of the daycare centers, he says, are committing fraud and still receiving funds have already been shut down. And many
No, he shows on the video they were receiving funds in 2025. Do not bullshit me. You will not gaslight me. I am so sick of this nonsense. This is why so many people have left the left. It's because of the gaslighting and the BS, dude. He shows these organizations, these daycare, these healthcare places, what have you, were receiving funds in 2025. Do not try to gaslight me. Oh, my word. These people will say anything. They will protect anyone.
people have been held.
Dude, I can't wait to become the president of the United States and get these assholes to defend BlackRock and Blackstone. That is going to be the funniest thing ever. To get them to defend the big corporations and them suddenly become big business and pro-billionaire.
Accountable, and that's all public information. And part of the reason this happened at all was because Minnesota Republicans voted against additional fraud protection. Oh, and it's not actually a Minnesota problem, just Minnesota took it seriously, found it earlier than other places, and started prosecuting those people sooner, so we knew about it sooner. Something they did under the leadership of Tim Walz, the person they're trying to blame for all of this somehow, because it's Somali people's fault, but it's also
Yeah, because again, he incentivized this. They're sending out the checks without checking.
Tim Walz's fault. But Tim Walz isn't the governor of those liberal blue states like Texas and Florida and Arizona and Alabama and Ohio.
And so now we're not addressing the fraud, which I have no idea about what's going on in Texas and Kansas and what we're alleging. There's fraud happening everywhere. That's because when you create a welfare state, it's ripe for fraud. But nevertheless, the argument is over the fraud in Minnesota. What is he doing? What he's doing is the classic logical fallacy in which we're taking attention off of the matter at hand and trying to say, well, it's whataboutism. Well, what about this? What about that? That's not the issue at hand. We're talking about Minnesota fraud.
Ohio, where similar fraud schemes from the same taxpayer-funded programs are currently
Oh, yeah, we know there's schemes going on in Ohio. And guess what? It's Somalians again.
being uncovered. Where if Nicky Poo really wanted to be doing breaking news journalism, he'd be there knocking down their daycare doors. Those people are white, so...
No, they're not. Actually, they're Somalian. Like in Columbus, Ohio, bro. Like, literally, this just happened. There's Somalians doing the same shit in Ohio.
They get a pass. By that, I mean literally.
Again, the accusations of racism. So he's talking a lot, but he's not saying much here.
Because Donald Trump has also just pardoned a bunch of people committed for these...
Oh, yeah, no, that's terrible.
Same type of fraud from places like Florida and Texas. See, because the reality is that this has nothing to do with fraud. Because
We're going back to whataboutism.
That little motherfucker, and I mean that literally, would have provided any independently verifiable
Poisoning the well.
information and citations to his ridiculous and outlandish claim. He did.
He did. He objectively did. You did. Let's give this man. He's not getting retard of the year. Someone else is getting retard of the year. He's not getting retard of the year, but he's getting the award for didn't watch the video.
Did not. Because they don't exist. What this was a long, orchestrated, and coordinated effort to demonize Somali people.
Poisoning the well.
And to demonize Tim Walz for talking poorly
Poisoning the well.
about the mango molester. And another thing to help distract from the fact that Donald Trump is...
By the way, you're a leftist who doesn't even believe in objective morality. You have no, and I mean no ground, zero ground to call the President of the United States a molester or a pedophile. Because you don't believe that morality even exists, so I'd love to hear you defend that. But
in fact a pedophile in the Epstein files.
Yeah, okay. You have no grounding to say that that's wrong. So only I have grounding to say that that's wrong in this debate, theoretically.
Here's my investigative journalism to support that Turning Point USA was behind this blatantly...
What the... Dude, Turning Point USA is going to be like you know how Israel's behind everything to like the low IQ people on the far right? Yeah, it's going to be Turning Point USA for the low IQ people on the far left.
It was Turning Point. They were behind it. They were behind it. Oh, get them. They were behind it.
Racist and made up bullshit, and it's really not.
Again, it wasn't made up. Literally, he shows the receipts. I'm about done with this faggot.
Not much, but it's way more than anything Nicky Poo had in his little YouTube video. First, this 2-year-old fraud case just started randomly making its way into more right-wing media fringe bullshit. And then in the few weeks leading up to Turning Point USA's Grievathon extravaganza, suddenly Brooke Shirley and Nick Shirley just start popping up all over the feeds.
Wait, you're talking about Amfest? This happened after Amfest, you idiot.
Way outdated stories nobody would be paying attention to and just done poorly. Like it was objectively trash content. But it
Really? Because 13 million people tuned into it, so, okay.
was all super anti-Somalian racist, like Brooke going out there and being like, oh, the Minnesota flag just got changed. It got changed back in 2023, and now it looks like the Somali
Exactly. That's recent.
flag.
It does.
It doesn't. And it's
It does. Like, objectively, it does. Do you want to bet? That's what it used to look like. This is what it looks like now. This is a Somalian flag. The resemblance is uncanny, bro. Literally same color. The star's a little bit different. Do not gaslight me. You're not going to gaslight me, bro. We've had enough of this.
At this point, I had never seen the mommy-son duo before, and then I started seeing...
By the way, she plays no role in this video. Why does he keep going on about it? This is really weird. This is really weird that he keeps going on about it.
...them everywhere, and you'll know this if you watch my content, because I made 2 videos...
Because they made a huge... Because Nick Shirley made a huge video exposing fraud. It got 13 million views. Of course you're going to see it everywhere.
...videos debunking her bullshit in the span of a week. And it was all over every fucking platform. Almost like somebody was paying for views to prime people's feeds to be ready to be like, Somali's bad. We know who this Brooke and Nick Shirley couple are. And then
Nick had already gotten to 1 million subscribers. He was already well known.
Brooke go to Turning Point USA's Grief Fest and rub shoulders with every other right-wing content creator out there.
Again, this happened after AmFest. It blew up after AmFest. Please stop being so stupid.
They're suddenly just getting their name and face all over the interwebs within those circles. And then immediately after that's over, suddenly this shitty-ass documentary where he just goes and tries to break down the doors of daycare.
No, he shows the fraud that's happening, and then he goes and says, look, they're getting all this money. There's nobody here. Nobody's home. It's really basic stuff that the government already should have been doing a long time ago. But you're mad because one of your special groups is implicated in a fraud ring. And so you will move heaven and earth in order to defend them. We're not doing it anymore. We're just not.
To illegally filmed children just goes viral, which was once again more absolutely utterly.
He didn't illegally film children. He went to these places and was like, okay, there's no children here. Where are the children? And they're like, they're not here right now. We're waiting on, They wouldn't even let him get paperwork. Like, bro, what?
Trash content nobody would have watched unless it was being paid.
13 million views. 13 million views, guys.
To get out there in front of people. And the timing.
And again, he already had 1 million subscribers. So it's not like, it would be suspicious if he was like, if he had my reach of like 1,040 some, and then suddenly one video gets to 13 million. That's suspicious. What's not suspicious is a creator who already has 1 million subscribers having a video that just pops off because it touched a nerve at a specific moment in which this is a hot topic.
This seems appropriate because I don't think Nick is smart enough to set all this shit up. His mom damn sure isn't. And it just seems too coordinated because then
Again, poisoning the well.
Every single washed up right-wing influence.
And now the left is a bunch of conspiracy theorists.
Started reporting on it. And
every washed up conservative influencer. Oh yeah, you mean like, let's go on a wild limb here. Glenn Beck, washed up conservative influencer. Tucker Carlson's been silent on it, but what about Megyn Kelly? What about Michael Knowles? What about Matt Walsh? These are washed up conservative. Are you kidding me?
Immediately, like
if it was like Ben Shapiro, I would say, yeah, probably. Ben Shapiro's washed up, but
same day, same moment that came out. So I
did not happen same day, same moment. Shush.
can say with 100% certainty that everything that Nick Shirley reported is 100% false.
Okay, so then prove it's false. Stop running around the issue. Stop acting like a retard and prove it's false then. Gosh dang, dude. You've proven nothing. You're just yip-yapping. You're an unintelligent, unimpressive person. All you've got is insult after insult after insult after insult. I can prove it's 100% false. Then do it. You've spent 5 minutes yapping. And that's all they have anymore. They have no more arguments except the barrel of a gun, which they proved on September 10th, 2025. And to call you a racist, well, that's not working anymore. Fine, we'll just kill him. And we've had enough of this. You want to know why people are saying, oh, well, let's just get a dictator at this point. It's because of crap like this. People are fed up, man. People are done.
Racist propaganda.
poisoning the well ad hominem.
I can say that I feel pretty certain that Turning Point USA is behind it. And I do
You conspiracy theorist retard. You have no evidence for that. Shut the hell up and bring me some evidence. You're going to say stupid shit like that. You better bring me some real good evidence. Real hard evidence. My computer better be blowing up about how guilty Turning Point is.
think that it is absolutely hilarious that when trying to distract from the whole Epstein file situation.
Oh my gosh, everything's a distraction from the Epstein files at this point. We get it. It sucks. The entire system is corrupt. Good Lord have mercy. You have no ground to stand on to say that anything Epstein did was wrong. That's why no one takes you seriously about this, because you don't have any ground to stand on to say that anything Epstein did was wrong, because you were just 2 seconds ago trying to normalize pedophilia. So shut up.
And their plan, their brilliant fucking plan, was to have a white Republican dude run around and try to break into daycares to film children. It's almost as weird and creepy as the shit Nick Shirley does with his mom. Really.
Oh my gosh, shut the... Yeah, no, you're getting deported too. I don't care where you come from or how long your family's been here. We'll figure something out. Maybe we can send you to Somalia. You can go live with the Somalians.
He doesn't do a great job helping to break that all Republicans are pedophile stereotype that
Oh, yeah, because he went to investigating to see if these daycare centers were open. Daycares have... He was to go investigate to see if the daycare centers have kids in them. And, like, he wanted to film kids. Therefore, the pedophile... Forget the fact that we were just trying to say normalize pedophilia like 2 seconds ago.
that we're all kind of getting these days. Anyway, y'all can feel absolutely comfortable mocking anybody who takes that investigative journalism from the Shirleys seriously. And
You mock
should.
literally
Those people should
everyone.
Feel shame. All of the shame.
Okay, bro. So this is the type of reaction coming from the left. Absolutely unserious. Again, he says, I can absolutely prove that it was fake. Okay, then prove it. I'm not actually going to prove it, though. I'm just going to sit up here and I'm going to talk about how terrible this kid is and how he's having sex with his mother. What the flip, bro? What the actual flip, bro? What are we doing? All right. 4 people watching right now, 45 views overall. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe. I'm going to go through this right quick and one more little video, something else we're going to touch on. And then I'm going to start answering your questions. So load the chat up with your questions. Load the chat up with your questions. All right, let's see. Left is now trying to defend Somali fraud in Minnesota by claiming Nick Shirley reporting was fake.
Hey, show me the kids. Show me your kids. Hey, open up and let me and this elderly man look at all the kids in there. Well, they won't open up and let me see the kids, so they must be committing fraud.
Again, not what happened, but okay. Not like truth matters to these people. Okay, I was going to go over this. This was the spending bill that the House is trying to push through. We're going to read through it on Friday. I'm not going to get through it today. It's New Year's Eve. So this is clavicular. He says, it's quite possible if Charlie had been better looking, Charlie Kirk, by the way, had been better looking, someone wouldn't have hated him enough to assassinate him. This is the guy who said, yeah, I'm going with, like, Vance because, like, I'm going with Newsom because, like, he mogs Vance. Like, he's so much more attractive. Like, he's so much hotter than Vance. So, like, I'm throwing my support behind Vance. And stuff. Like, Vance is, like, the best, bro. Gabe, I see you say language. Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. I should not be cussing as much as I did. This stuff makes me so angry. The gaslighting makes me so angry. But anyway, back to this guy. Yeah, I'm voting for, like, Newsom because, like, he mogs Vance, bro. He's so much hotter. I'm conservative, but Newsom's too hot. Like, what in the 4th grade? What in the 7th grade girl bullcrap is this, bro? Here we go.
Would Charlie Kirk have gotten assassinated if he were Chad? Well, probably not, and here's why. Good-looking people experience something called the halo effect, so it's quite possible that if Charlie were to be better looking, someone wouldn't have hated him enough to assassinate him. What happened to him is quite terrible, and this might be an insensitive video to me.
You think?
But I'm really trying to bring awareness to how brutal the black pill is. Looks really are going to determine the quality of your life to a high degree, so if you're not doing everything you can to maximize them, you're missing out.
Oh yeah, that's that looks maxing stuff. Where like looking hot is everything. You have to look hot to everything to these people. Anyway, basically what he's saying, so since the audio was a little quiet, basically what he's saying is that if Charlie Kirk was if Charlie Kirk was like hotter, like he wouldn't have gotten shot, like because if you're hot, like you get a halo effect, and so like he wouldn't have died. So, yeah. Is this what we're doing, bro? We're looks maxing? Is this seriously what we're on? Okay. I am at best like a 5 out of 10. In terms of looks. At best, I'm a 5 out of 10. If I get shot and these idiots start talking about, oh, you know, like, if he had like a sharper jawline, because I guess that's what you could say, because my jawline isn't that sharp. Like, if he had a like sharper jawline, like, he wouldn't have been shot. Like, He'd be still alive. If people start talking like that, I want you to slap the ever-loving crap out of them. I was born looking this way. Sure, there are things I can do to improve myself. I can work out, which I do. I can build up more muscle mass. I can do this. I can do that. I can run, which I do. I can play basketball, which I do. But the face, like I was born looking like this. I was born being a 5 out of 10 in terms of like facial like looks. That's nothing I can change. Are we seriously out here picking our presidential candidates based on how hot they are? Like, bro, like come on now. Newsom's like hot. I don't give a rip. Newsom's gonna destroy the country. Yeah, but like Vance is like fat. He's like a chud. I don't give a rip. He's going to be objectively better for the country than Newsom. Maybe Vance isn't going to do all that I want, but he's going to be better for the country than Newsom. Yeah, but like, Newsom's hot. And like, Charlie Kirk, like, he wasn't hot. And so that's why he got shot. Looks determine how good your life is. I know of many billionaires who are not that good looking. Yes, Ed Sheeran is the peak of like, is the peak man. Let's pull up a picture of Ed Sheeran. Okay, this is one of the most popular singers. I like his music. He's got good music. He's a good singer. He's got a great voice. He's been very successful. Oh, yes. Ed Sheeran. The peak. The icon, Ed Sheeran, the peak of masculinity. This guy. He's one of the most popular singers out there. He's been very successful. He's made a lot of money. I don't need to tell you that that's not a very attractive gentleman. He's not like terrible, but he's not a very attractive gentleman. He's not that good looking. Objectively, he looks kind of creepy. But looks aren't everything in society. Abraham Lincoln was one of the most successful presidents that we've ever had, one of the most successful political figures in American history. Abraham Lincoln was not that attractive of a person. He was tall, and he was lanky, and he was built like a stick. You know, the fullness that I have on my face, my cheeks are very filled out, and underneath is very filled out. Abraham Lincoln, like, his face was like the opposite of my face. Like, his cheeks, like, he looked like a fish in terms of his cheek bones. He looked very weird. And yet he was one of, if not the most successful political figures in American history. Looks just objectively aren't everything. They don't decide how good of a life you're going to have. Maybe they decide what woman you can pull, because anyone who tells you that looks don't matter in the dating pool is lying to you. Women do care about how a guy looks. Maybe not as much as a guy cares about how a girl looks, but at the end of the day, you can be not that attractive of a guy and you can pull a really attractive girl because you have a good personality and you make them laugh. Trust me, I've done it twice. I have pulled women who are objectively more beautiful and better looking than I could ever dream of being, and yet I pulled them. How? Because I have this thing called personality, and I'm able to make them laugh. I'm not dating anyone right now, but I've done this in the past. I know I'm not the best looking person, but the Lord gave me a good personality. The Lord gave me humor. The Lord gave me an ability to speak. I have Riz. At the end of the day, that matters a lot more. If you have that, if it's between like a good-looking guy who like has no personality and is just a person who is a literal NPC, and a guy who may be a little bit less attractive physically, but has personality, has charisma, is able to talk well, is able to make her laugh, she's probably going to go with the second guy rather than the former. Because girls do really care about personality and that thing. So the SEC couple thing is definitely a real thing. But if you are a particularly ugly individual, then maybe you don't have as great of a shot. But at the end of the day, looks aren't everything. Like I said, some of the most successful people are not that attractive. And Hollywood maybe looks for everything. That's why people do so many surgeries to make themselves look better. But nevertheless, looks are not everything, and looks certainly don't keep you from being shot. Looks certainly do not decide who should be president or not. Oh, they would be objectively better for society, but hey, the other guy's hotter. No, that's an unserious individual. You're a stupid individual. You're an unserious person. If that's how you pick your political candidate, just by whoever is hotter. That's ridiculous. Okay. Let's do some questions, guys. 4 people watching right now, 49 views overall. Thank you guys so much for watching. I know it's New Year's Eve. I didn't expect a lot of people to watch, but I'm going to start answering your questions now. Oh, Lord. Have mercy on me. Excuse me there, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. I still have a bit of a cold. Bolt 23, who's winning the college football playoff national championship? You know, the team that should have won it, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, are not in it. So I'm going to go with Ohio State, probably. I think Ohio State's going back-to-back, actually. I think it's Ohio State versus Indiana. Speaking of, actually, that depends on how their game is going right now. Hold on. Ohio State Buckeyes football. Oh, shoot, they're being stomped. Well, I thought they were going to win the national championship. Maybe not. Go you. Okay. Thoughts on Kerbal Productions, thoughts on me officially being the cooking champion. Congratulations, bro. Kerbal Productions. This brother got a girlfriend, bro. He got a girlfriend. He has Riz. And if he can get a girlfriend, so can you. So congratulations to Kerbal Productions getting a girlfriend, bro. I'm so happy for you. Feel like the only one who's done anything, quite frankly, Trump. But again, we didn't just vote for Trump. Yep, true. People don't want to work. That's partly the case, partly not. Again, guys, load up the chat with your questions. No. Okay. Americans gained a sense of entitlement thanks to the robust economy in the 20th century, and we think that it should be easy. Truth is that simply unrealistic. I don't think it's a sense of entitlement. I think it's simply that we should be better off than the generations who have come before us. It's been the simple idea of every generation before the boomers that we're going to make life easier for our children. I am lagging. Let me exit out of Google. And the lag. Speaking of ending the lag, if you want to aid in that, buy me a coffee. Link to that should be in the description. Or join me on Patreon. We're having an $800 goal. But I don't think it's a sense of entitlement. The idea of the generations before the boomer generation was we're going to make society better for our children. And the boomers completely pushed that to the side and said, we're going to live how we want to now, and our descendants can pay for it later. So it's not really a sense of entitlement. It's just that our inheritance has objectively been robbed. The boomers aren't leaving us much of an inheritance. They've squandered it, spent it on themselves. It's far from the only problem, but it's something that's often ignored, something I used to know. Someone I used to know just bought a house at 20, no degree, just been hustling since he got out of high school. Yeah, degree practically means nothing anymore. Format lines, keep working, retire. This has not panned out. Yeah, exactly, because society is not built so that we can graduate high school, get a 4-year degree, get a job with a degree, start a family, buy a house, keep working, and then retire. Yeah, the problem is because the boomers ran the economy into the shitter. Into a crap hole. That's just not possible for us. You're a great speaker, brother. Thank you so much, brother. I appreciate that. Bought a house at 20 without a degree. That said, the economy screwed me over on that one. Yeah, it's probably your mortgage and the fees attached to it. Taxes doubled. Insurance quadrupled. Yeah, cost for repairs skyrocketed. Yep, that's how they get you. That's how they get you, because the big banks are allowed to take advantage of you like that. I fully see that people are lazy. I mean, I think we all know people who don't work and live off the welfare system. That's true. That's true. Which is a huge problem. Yeah, we need welfare reform in the United States. We can't have that. If we remove 90% of the welfare, I believe we've seen unemployment plummet. Yeah, that's true. We need people to go back to work. Also benefit the rich, not just the big. Yeah. The system currently that we live under is not capitalism. It's a corporatocracy. The system is rigged to benefit the elites on Wall Street. How should we go about breaking up these big businesses? Yeah, so so BlackRock you can end pretty simply by introducing legislation. And in terms of, or Blackstone rather, in terms of BlackRock, Vanguard, Goldman Sachs, etc., what you're going to want to do is you just want to go back to the laws that were put on the books in the 1890s, the laws that Theodore Roosevelt used, and you were going to use that to break them up. You're going to start filing lawsuit after lawsuit after lawsuit and investigate, and throw people behind bars. So we're going to follow the Rooseveltian playbook on that one, but with tweaks in order to fit our current day system. Talking about the AI bubble will pop. Yes, it will, but I don't think they're in it for that. They're in it for the fact that you tell AI some valuable information about yourself. I'm related to Teddy Roosevelt. That's so cool, bro. That's awesome, bro. I love that. I'm related to Alexander Hamilton. That's my claim to fame. I'm related to King Richard III of England. That's awesome, bro. That's awesome. Bro is royalty. Bro is royalty. Remember, throw the questions in the chat. Next IPL episode is going to get 13 million views. If it gets 13 million views, you know I've sold out to the feds. But I would not do that. I'm not going to do that to y'all. Looks sure everything comes from Hollywood. Yeah. Dang, Ohio is losing. Actually, sir, it's losing with 1 O, not 2 O's. So, would you just call Patrick ugly? No, I would never. Would you call me ugly? No, no, no. I would never call you guys ugly. You guys are both wonderful gentlemen. I was reading where John Adams said that a century after him, he thought a monarchy would be necessary. Yep. Yeah, the thought was that eventually we would probably just wreck it. That's why Benjamin Franklin says we've given you a republic if you can keep it. But the thought was initially that we were probably just going to wreck it, especially if we became immoral and non-religious. Data is gold. True thing. True king. So true. So, guys, happy New Year's Eve. I have to let you know who the retard of the year is. The retard of the year, 2025, is officially Dean Withers. I know there were a lot of good options, but I had to go with the guy who empathizes with the receiving end of gay people. So we'll definitely do a bigger process for this year, this coming year. This year it was kind of rushed because someone just came up with the idea literally days before this show. But Dean Withers is your 2025 retard of the year. Hopefully I can debate him sometime, probably next year at AmFest, because that faggot was going out there at AmFest and trying to debate people. It was really terrible. He was terrible. He was screaming and squealing. Him and Parker both were screaming and squealing at women. And when people were like, hey, bro, like, don't be cussing out the women. Don't be screaming at the women. They were like, what do you no think? It's like, no, bro. We just have common decency, actually. But anyway. So with that, if there's no more questions, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the stream. I'm going to give y'all the 2025 recap video. We will have our first episode of 2026, January the 2nd, this Friday. And it's going to be a great show. The title is, Why Do Our Heroes Always Die? It's going to be a great show. I can't wait to show it to you all. So without further ado, I'm going to show you guys the 2025 recap video. Happy New Year's, about 2 hours. So true, King, so true. Have a great New Year's Eve. Have a great New Year's Day. Spend it with your family. And we're going to have an incredible 2026. We're going to have a 2016 level of a year. It's going to be great. What happened to the Catholics Can't Be America First video? It's coming. We've just delayed it a little bit. I want to do it on a day that people are really going to watch. But anyway, we'll get to it. We're going to have a great show on Friday. Thank you guys so much for watching. Go have a happy New Year's. And may the peace of Christ go with you. God bless. Happy 2026. Let's have a banger of a year.
What's up? Thank you for having me on your show again. And I'm excited to talk about Mission 2025 with you. So how have you been?
I've been doing pretty good.
Mama put a Bible in my hands, and Daddy put my hands in the dirt. I grew up in the heart of the heartland, with a vintage Johnny Cash on my shirt. I learned the truth from Granddad's final and a preacher down on River Road. If you care to know anything about me, I'll tell you everything you need to know. I'm hallelujah, hands high in friends in low places, red, white, and blue and red letter pages, back row pew and front seat Ford, New King James and old King George. I'm washed in the water.
It's calling to me, man. It's calling to me.
You're weak, hiding in the shadows.
I want to die of dysentery. This is not fun to me right now because I'm not dying of dysentery. Truth be told, 2025 was one of the hardest years of my life. In my life, and especially in this year of 2025, I've experienced more hardship than I can tell you, more pain than can be put into words. Yet having you all with me has made this whole journey bearable. It's reminded me that I have a purpose on this planet, which the Lord God has given to me. And I hope that you will all be here with me for the long haul. And we're going to have a great 2026. We're going to have a year of growth. We're going to have a lot of new people in this community. There are 2 people watching right now. 52 people have watched through this entire live stream. But in 2026, I want to make those numbers unthinkable. And we're going to make those numbers unthinkable. We're going to get to 100 people watching at a single time rather than just overall in a single video or single live stream or single show. And I'm going to do this all not just through myself, but through you guys as well. This is a community. This is a family. And thank you for being a part of it. I love you all, and I can't wait to have a great 2026 with you all. Let's pop off. I'm Isaiah Lafone. You've been watching the Isaiah Lafone Show. I'll see you next year.